Hi, everyone, and welcome to our monthly SEAC meeting. Thank you so much. Just a reminder to everybody here that tonight's meeting is being recorded, and I'm not wearing a sweatshirt because I couldn't be bothered to get dressed, but it was my attempt to dress loud. We're still in May, so we dress loud in May. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We do have Abiola that's joining us online. That's correct. Just a reminder that when you're speaking, put your microphone on so that the recording picks it up, and then also our online members pick it up, and then we can also hear for any of the voting and things like that. So I will now call the meeting to order. We will start with our opening prayer and our land acknowledgement. So if you will join me in the sign of our faith, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We come together in hope from different community groups, answering the same call to service, pieces of the same puzzle. We come together in gratitude for the trust placed in us, for the opportunity to serve, pieces of the same puzzle. We come together in respect, aware of our diversity, willing to work for the good, pieces of the same puzzle. We come together in awe of the wonder and beauty of each of God's children, pieces of the same puzzle. We come together in God's name, and as we work together toward the same goal, each piece of the puzzle begins to fit neatly into place, creating a breathtaking picture of love, compassion, courage, and grace. The Son, Holy Spirit, amen. And then
as we know it today
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations and the Métis.
From the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis.
These lands surrounding the Great Lake
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today
on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters.
So honor and respect.
Four directions. Lands, waters, plants, animals, and ancestors
that walked before us.
All these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God. We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Great, thank you so much. I should also mention that Superintendent Jack Caldera is not here this evening, so Director Klein will be assuming those duties. So if the most questions, as you like all the questions, if you have tons of questions, then please make sure that John gets peppered with. Yes, make sure John gets peppered with questions. So thank you for doing that this evening for us. So moving on to item number 1.2 is the approval of the agenda. Everybody will have received a copy of the agenda in their meeting package. Was there any questions or comments or concerns regarding the agenda? No, we're good. Okay, so if I could get a motion to approve the agenda.
I will motion.
Okay, thanks, Rhonda. And could I get someone to second that? Tracy, second. Perfect. Thank you so much. Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest this evening? Seeing none. Okay, moving to item number 3, which is our presentations. We do have one presentation this evening. It's the IEA debrief rollout presentation with Andrea Jones. So thank you so much for being here, Andrea.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Many of you know I'm Andrea Jones. I'm one of 2 educational assistant managers with our special education department. And so our responsibilities are to support the role of the EA, kind of beginning of their career all the way through. And one of the consistent needs of our educational assistants is to support those incidents that may present as challenging and require an SE-17. So I'll remind everybody that an SE-17 is the incident report within our special education department that documents when there is a student behavior that may pose an imminent risk. And the intent of that communication is to ensure that all parties within the board are aware of those needs so that we can continue to monitor and provide any appropriate support. And that support would look like ensuring that we're supporting the student around understanding them and the resources for the student to support their success, as well as support staff related to having to manage those particular situations. So a little bit of background is over the years, there's been a lot of discussion about the need to debrief in an effective way to support the appropriate process of debriefing. So we did feel that we did a pretty good job of debriefing. We did move our SE17s to an electronic format. We include information on that electronic format about the debrief so we could collect data about it. It became apparent from feedback from our school communities that maybe people had different baseline knowledge around a debrief. And so one of the initiatives we did this year was we launched the debrief resource package to try and bring consistency to that process. So this is very specific to debriefing the SE17 that I identified. It's not related to any other need of debrief within our system that might be related to our mental health initiatives or any other kind of debrief. So I'll just go through really quickly what it is. Basically, we created these resources and we had our itinerant EA teams go into every school and meet with the EAs and our CERTs and administrators and present these resources and leave them at the schools for them, and then continue to support the effective debrief through the process. So what would happen is an incident may happen that may pose an imminent risk related to student behavior. So staff are required to complete an SE17. In the process of completing that SE17, this now provides a system consistent response to how do we debrief that. And as you can imagine, with any of those incidents, there may be kind of elevated needs related to staff in the sense of, was there an injury? Do they have questions about if they did things well, or we should revisit skills or strategies? Is the child okay? And how can we move forward to learn or to move and prevent from what we learned to moving better? So it's a really short slide presentation, and we did do a writing team over the summer to develop the information. We use our safe management information as well as other kind of evidence-based resources for what debrief is. And so really it is, we created an acronym. So we have the TALK acronym, which is TALK, and we'll go through, I'll get Mags to just go through that really quickly for you and give you guys the opportunity to see the resource as well. So let's debrief is the start of it and that definition of debrief. And next, Mags. Then the acronym is TALK, which is to ensure we're all trying to ask the questions about how do we support staff. So we start with guiding questions about how the individual is feeling and anything they need at the moment. And then we ask questions about what worked well or what can we learn. The L is to look for alternative and possible solutions and patterns to be able to identify some of the needs maybe ahead of time. And then the K would be keep doing the good work, but where are we going to go from here? What have we learned from this incident that is applicable to the next? Max? So really what we did was take that information and made it into two resources. So this is the front and back. This is now posted in every one of our resource rooms in our schools, in all of our schools, so that the team have this accessible. And then we left them with two handhelds for them to be able to use as a resource when they are processing those incidents and documenting those incidents, so that we have a consistent definition of what debrief is and what the process would be in order to support the student most successfully and support the staff. Max? And that's the same acronym that I went through, the TALK, and we use, an open stance for guiding questions to support the staff. And really that sums it up. The other resource I brought is from our safe management training, because it does kind of lend itself. So we created this reproducible resource from our safe management training, which is our crisis intervention training. It is a condition of employment for all of our EA staff to be trained in our safe management. And so this is a de-escalation checklist that we've got posted in all of our resource rooms as well, which is where our staff have access, our EA team. So it's just those reminders about how do we ensure that we're calm and ready to support the child most successfully, and what are the look-fors with the child that we might be able to use as a tool to support their de-escalation. So moving forward, we are looking to continue to collect the data related to what our school teams need in order to be able to apply the concept of the consistent debrief process into our schools around, and is it making a difference, and what resources do we have? So we're very fortunate to have the support staff to do that. That's what our itinerant EAs have been able to support. And then they're continuing to be at the schools to participate in those debrief of incidents to support our EA staff most effectively.
Thanks, Andrea. Is there any questions? I know I have a couple, but is there any questions that anybody has before I go?
So just curious, an incident takes place. Who's involved with the meeting, this debriefing meeting? I know you said there's an itinerant EA who would be like called in immediately.
So not necessarily in that sense. So I appreciate the opportunity to provide clarity. So the people involved in the incident were the people that, or in the debrief are the people that were involved in the incident, and then other resources available based on who's in the building. So typically the CERT would lead the special education department as a rule and those student needs. So it would be a CERT that manages that. Often we would have an administrator and any other staff that was involved in that incident. Where available, our IEA team or our consultant or any other kind of itinerant team that may be directly supporting that student. So it could be a BA or any other staff member that was either involved in the incident or manages that child in a caseload that could provide the support in that moment. Or post-incident, some of those staff people, like the consultant, IEA, or a BA, with permission, may participate after the actual incident. And so then we do have a process of debrief. So there's an immediate need from the debrief. Is everybody okay? What can we learn? And then there is an opportunity to record perhaps added follow-up as needed. And that would be, again, from the IEA consultant or BA or others, or the EA manager or other kind of staff related to that.
And then you would notify the parents?
Parents are always notified about the incident of an SE17, and they do get a copy of that document.
I do have a question. Thank you for the presentation. I think this is amazing because it goes, like it aims training for some specific needs of the wide broad of needs that our children have. So I think it's a really good step forward. And in that regard, I have a question on, as the variety of the needs of our kids it's so big, I think it's very difficult to have EAs trained to know how to specifically work maybe with a child with autism, or with a child with Down syndrome, with a child with so very many different needs, right? And so restricted resources. So sometimes parents come and say, oh, we're lacking of this, we need that. And what opportunity would have a parent, for example, to be part of this solution instead of their requirement? And my question would be, like, for example, a parent who had been working with a child, in my case specifically with Down syndrome, and teaching your child how to, I don't know, how to read, how to do math, with specific resources, specific techniques, specific strategies. What is the opportunity that a parent could have to share that with EAs in a sort of training, like to share that information and make them kind of spread the word and train them, like in a, I would say, free way, like because that would be no cost, right? But you could transfer in some way your experience, your specific, what you have learned, right? So is that something that the board would consider?
I appreciate that. I believe what you're asking about is, parents' opportunity to share the best approach for their child related to the particular needs of that specific child. I would suggest that that's outside of the scope of the content of this agenda item. However, I'd be happy to say that our CERTs are responsible to pass all of that information on to our EAs, and our CERTs work very closely with parents. So anytime there is a parent question about, can I get this resource to the EAs? Can I, how is somebody intervening or supporting my child in this way? We would encourage, and I would think that it's probably happening, that that parent has that access of that CERT, who then would absorb that information and receive the information and disseminate it where appropriate for that particular child. From a vast training perspective, we do educational assistance PD on a regular basis on our school-based PA days throughout the calendar year. And we would always be open to material that we can provide if there was something that you wanted to send to me outside of this related to those specifics. We can review any of those kind of things. But we're always trying to ensure that our staff have specific information to support specific students. And we do provide a wide range of PD opportunities for our staff as well.
Yeah, in that case, I would think not only thinking like in a specific child, but there are many aspects that go broad to a condition, right? Like they go beyond one specific child. Like you could have advantage of that in a wide population. That's the spirit, because otherwise it would be very selfish and would be just for me and my child. When he's out of school, then it's done. And the idea would be like this can be embraced and taken for the general and the future generation of children entering the school system, right? Like there are conferences in the United States that provide so very many good information, having conference here also in Canada with general information. And that's what I refer to. And my expectation as a parent is not that an EA would be trained specifically in that is not realistic. And it's just how to be part of the solution, like to try to share that and multiply it. Like respecting, like the training that there is, but recognizing that there is also like a gap in the training.
Are you?
Yeah, and maybe I'm posting the question because I already went to the school. I already spoke, and I don't feel that is kind of addressed yet.
So that would be. So are you talking about like you're at your situation you don't feel has been addressed? I would say that's probably that's like an offline probably conversation about what's kind of transpiring at the school level.
I would say in general, it's, and I was so grateful that she was here. I didn't know, or I didn't, because maybe it's an opportunity for the full board, I would say.
Yeah, I think, sorry, Andrew, you can jump. My initial thought would be if there are strategies that, come from an association perspective or come from a parent, like if there's something to be shared that could be beneficial in a situation like that, I would definitely encourage, whether that's board wide or otherwise. I think through the association, through SEAC, it's something that could be shared, through Andrea more broadly. Definitely, I think there's an opportunity to share that at a school level for sure that we can encourage parents to do. It's information that will be valuable in these scenarios with these, possible opportunities for, but for a tougher scenario, definitely, I think if there's strategies to be shared, I would encourage to do that. I think looking at things, as Andrea said, from a board perspective, there's a ton of PD that is done. And I have also seen the board where we may have had a gap in a particular area, where I've seen the board come around and say, we haven't done training in XYZ when it comes to these scenarios. So we're going to go ahead and, have that be done. So I do see it. It's really fluid in what you're offering from a PD perspective.
I hope I was clear that I just said we're open to any suggestions. So if you choose to forward them, like we would always consider any of those opportunities, because we do have our school-based PA days that we do provide direct training to our EA staff and to all staff, but I'm only responsible for the EAs. And we would be open to any suggestions or resources that you wanted to send for consideration.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. Thank you. So the only question I think I had, a little bit of what Rhonda had asked was something along the lines of what I was going to ask. But I just wondered, Andrea, from a incidents per year, like what does that look like? How many incidents a year are you seeing? Are you recording? Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I didn't bring that data with me. I know last year we had about 1,000 incidents, and that's kind of a very broad kind of brush, because what it doesn't tell you, and without having that right at my fingertips, it doesn't tell you that how many students that have multiple incidents, like if it's a particular profile in that way, or so I know last year we had about 1,000 incidents.
And the thought again with this, as you were saying, is to do a little bit more research, try to identify ways and to be able to utilize the tools and the things that are being given to have that in a more consistent basis. And as part of that, even in the hopes again of preventative pieces, that maybe there's things that get escalated and there's never blame, but things that get escalated because someone doesn't know what to do in that situation. Yeah. So hoping to maybe get ahead of some of those.
That's what our goal is. So our goal is always around prevention. I have lots of conversations with lots of people, as do all of our spec ed staff, about how do we get to know that child better, to be able to recognize early signs of agitation and what effective strategies work for them for de-escalation and distraction and prevention. So that's what our goal is, and that's what we're always doing. And then we believe that our debrief process lends to that by looking for those, what can we learn from this? These look fors for staff. Did I miss something? Could I do something better? So that we're always working towards a preventative approach.
That was all I had. Did anybody else, any other questions? No, thanks for sharing this. So we do hear, you hear incidents, we do hear from families about things like this. I think it's good to know that it's something that the board is definitely not just aware of, but is taking, active steps to implement and get ahead of, and because we want, it's better for everybody, right? So it's great to hear that presentation, Andrea. So thank you so much for that. Great, so moving on to item number 4 is the approval of the minutes. So the minutes from the April 29th meeting, they would have also been included in your board package. Does anybody have any questions at all about the minutes of our previous? No, all good? Okay, could I just get a motion to approve the minutes from our April 29th meeting? Trish, okay. And seconded? Tracy, thank you. Great. Item number 5, just summary of outstanding items from previous meeting. We don't have anything there for any consideration, but as always, if there's something that we need to add on there, something we'd like to see placed on that that we think needs to be there, either as a reminder from meeting to meeting or something that we want to work on, please, as always, bring that forward. Happy to add that in. We do not have, for number 6, we do not have any policy reviews this evening. I don't think we have any more either. I think we're done. Yeah, I think we're done. Action and information items. So you will also seen in your package the 2025-2026 SEAC meeting dates. I don't think there's any question, probably flying through this tonight. Okay, so those are there for your reference. Get them in your calendars. Perfect. Thank you so much, Margaret. We try to stick to those, as we know, for the most part. Sometimes things come up, but we try to stick to those whenever we can. Item number 8, which is board committee updates from SEAC representatives. We had a bullying prevention intervention committee meeting that lasted about 3 minutes. Were you in there? Okay, so do you want to give a quick update on that, Trish? I think it was it was election of the new chair.
Yeah. It's the election of the new chair, and it was that we're wrapping up for the year, right? Yeah. It was.
Yeah, there's nothing, I think the only thing that's in the works, and I say it because it's on my growing to-do list, is we're still taking a look at developing videos
Yeah.
for that committee,
Yeah.
but that'll be pushed to next school year. I think that was the only update, right, from that? Yeah, okay. And I don't know if we've had any other, do we have anybody on the Journeying with Jesus committee? No? Okay. So I know there was a meeting for that. Okay. All right, so we don't have any other updates for our board committee. You what?
John, he had Journey with Jesus.
Do you have updates? Do you want to give one? Okay. I'm just trying to think of the other committees that we have representation on. Right. But I think that's, I think that's it for the meetings that we've had that have had SEAC representation on them. And we do try to make sure that SEAC is represented on all of those available committees. So number 8, communication. Number 9, moving on to communication to SEAC, and we will go to 9.1 with our trustee report with Trustee Powell.
Thank you, Chair. So just a couple of points. We had a policy meeting May 13th and then a board meeting May 20th. Just a few highlights from the meeting. The e-learning opportunities coming up for high school, for secondary schools, there's about 135 courses that they're coming out with for September. Some grade 10 courses, but there's also grade 11 and 12 options. Summer school learning programs is now, they're out. That's through Thomas Mertens. So they do have a 3-week spec ed learning program in July. And I believe that is notified through the schools. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So parents should get information from their CERT if they're eligible or available, offered. All of the above. Sorry, jump in if you know.
I can help with that. So we just went through some of our registrants today. It looks as though we're hoping to offer 2 life skills type programs. One kind of essential skills program and one structured teaching class based on the respondents that we had. Those were kind of the numbers. And so we're just we've gotten the applicants in. So now we're just looking to make sure we can secure the staffing and the funding for it.
So fingers crossed. That's great though. Okay. And then there was a high school trades, skill trades fair that was early May. And we had quite a bit of participation from grade 6 to 8 students, which was interesting and exciting to see. And then we had local trades and colleges come out, very well attended, really encouraging to see. We had a curriculum update by our superintendent Kroll, and that was on our STEAM program. And Holy Trinity, Loyola, and Bishop Redding have been, were competing in the regional championship in Toronto at the beginning of May, I believe it was. And so, yeah, our teams are doing great. We had over 1,000 students were reached through the showcase and through the esports events, which is pretty cool. And what was the other one? There was one more. But there was something coming up for STEAM. Oh, it's a machine learning program for AI, basically AI, for the high schools. That's on May 29th. So look for some information coming out that. We had our board approved Our Lady of Victory, the Catholic Elementary School Edition, and childcare. It's going to be big enough for 265 extra students and about 88 licensed childcare spaces. That's in Milton. And oh, I thought this was really cool, actually. The student trustees actually shared at our board meeting. They wanted to thank the board's special education department for hosting the Spring Fling dance for the students. They heard great feedback. They heard great praise from people who had attended and really appreciated the ability to spend time with their friends. And so all the student trustees made sure to thank Superintendent Jack Caldera and the team for putting this great opportunity together. So kudos. And I wasn't able to attend, but I heard great things about it. I'm so proud of our school for doing these things. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. That's all.
Great. Any questions at all on the trustee report? And I would agree with our student trustees, the event was awesome. Over to you, Director Klein, to give the superintendent's report.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just take a few hours or so on this. So first of all,
Mr. Report this long, are you?
no, I should have a PowerPoint. The report that was sent to you, I think, is very, very thorough, and I know Superintendent Jack Caldera goes through it in great detail. I'll highlight a few things that jumped out at me in terms of the more relevant ones. We are in the middle of National Accessibility Week, and so on Wednesday, that's an opportunity for us to go through the closet and make sure that we are addressing the Red Shirt Day and Dress Loud Day. So that's this Wednesday. Another kind of cool thing is a rebranding of sorts with the department. That is, we're going to look at change the name to Special Education and Student Mental Health Services. Just because it seems like those two have been apart. Sometimes mental health maybe has been construed as an afterthought, and it's not. Certainly that is something that has evolved over the last 10 or 15 years, is much more relevant. I think when I was a young superintendent and principal, I remember it was sort of, mental health. We added it on, but it's been growing and growing and growing. We do recognize that the importance of mental health and well-being is important for all aspects of our students, and so that's why we're doing that. June, of course, has some special themes to it. Pride Month starts on June 1st, which is on Sunday. So technically we'll start it on June 2nd, which is next Monday. And we look forward again to flying the flag with great pride, because it's a symbol of the inclusion and the celebration of the diversity of our students, our families, and our staff as well. And it is also, this Thursday marks a novena, and the novena is to the Holy Spirit. And that, of course, by its name, lasts for 9 days. The most important day of all, though, I think we'd all agree, is Father's Day. And so I just wanted to point that out, that it is there. Just throwing that out there. The other things I'd want to highlight are the DHH picnic, the summer school programming. Summer school is programming that is at Our Lady of Victory over the summer. It goes from July the 7th to the 25th. Half a day, the mornings, get everybody when they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it is in person. And I believe that's being settled right about now as we speak in terms of who's going to be, in fact, inviting people to them. MAXI is the Minister's Advisory Committee on Special Education. SEAC has absolutely heard about that over the years. And every year, the minister asks for some feedback from everyone on that. And there is a form that goes to the ministers, this advisory committee, mid-June, and that would have within it basically what are some cool things that you would recommend in terms of procedures, policies, instructional practices, and then what are some challenges that you would see that are on the horizon or you're facing currently. You can imagine for the minister, it gives a nice sense from across Ontario of what the consensus is in terms of what are the headwinds people are facing and what are maybe the great things to celebrate. They don't always focus on that, and that's good. The provincial budget, eagerly awaited, was sent to us last Friday. It's always on a Friday, and it came earlier on a Friday. Usually it would be like 5 o'clock on a Friday. It's around 1 o'clock, and our finance and business department, kind of jumped on it right away. And so far, so good in terms of don't seem to be any surprises, any things that are bad news, and so we're good with that. So that's going to help in terms of the budget creation, and that's a huge next step because we want to have that wrapped up by the end of June, and just to know that things are so far so good in the budget is good. Last year there was a lot of changes, or there were a lot of changes in terms of nomenclature. They tend to change in education acronyms around kind of on a biannual basis. And last year was a big change, same language, nothing's changed in that. And it looks like some of the monies are basically proportionate to last year. So we're looking forward to that. There is a survey that is out now. It would have come through schools, and it is, and you can also go on our board website. It is accessible, I think, to June the 6th, and that is regarding our student achievement plan. Student achievement plan was at one point called the board improvement plan, so it's gone through different names. This one now is consistent with all boards in the province. So it's sort of the same criteria, the same focus areas, and then it's just populated with data on numeracy and literacy, and obviously that changes from board to board what the achievement rates are, and that allows boards to use this for their own plans for the upcoming year. Schools can look at that as well and then say, here's how I'll tailor it for Corpus Christi or tailor it for Our Lady of Victory as well. If you go on that survey, you can weigh in on what you think in terms of the student achievement plan that we have here at our board. PA Day coming up, June the 6th, just for elementary, and that's part of the collective agreement for teachers. Focus in that is report cards, getting the report cards done. So tell the kids to bribe the teachers up to June the 6th. Good to see here in terms of EA recruitment update. We continue to work closely with HR in terms of recruiting EAs. I think it's good to see that the data is very positive. If we look at the fill rate for EAs in terms of classroom assignments, it is 76.6. There's 0.5. That was last year. The fill rate this year is 93.7. That's quite good. If you were to talk to other parents or others in other boards, I tell you right now, it is pretty desperate pickings in many other boards. And that is that just has such a snowball effect on morale, on confidence, and this is pretty darn good. I would like to tip my hat to Denise Colley, who presented at the Ontario Council for Administrators in Special Education, also known as OCASE, about our framework of support for students with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, very challenging disorder. And thank you very much, Denise, who's over there in the corner. And again, shout out to Chanel, Rhea, and Denise, because they were part of a panel of presenters during a PD session for school administrators about the ways healthy, active schools support student well-being. Just like Grandma knew, if we keep kids active and keep them healthy in a lot of aspects of their life, they generally can focus a little more on their work. Topics for the session included screen time, mental health, vaping, and physical activity. And again, you see some great stats here in terms of our psych department. Psych team may be fully staffed for the first time in 3 years in September. Hooray! It is hard to find staff in psych departments because it's not a matter of having a certain credentials. They have to be very specific for working with in the education setting. Having come from another board where it would seem to be a permanent gap of 1 or 2, it ain't easy. And so we're very glad that Oliver and his team are going to be even healthier than usual in the fall. Junior Jays tournament. I had my baseball cap, had my baseball shirt, and I was ready to go last week, and they pulled the plug because it was buckets. I had my kids in soccer, and they never stop anything in soccer if it's raining. Could be lightning, could be all sorts of things. Metal bat, aluminum bat, a flat surface. So that is still on the go. We've managed to have still some. That's the Junior Jays tournament. They're doing that at Lions Park. That did that here. The one was canceled last week, but we do have some coming up in June. Yeah. So Burlington Junior Jays. It's hard to say. Tournament has been rescheduled to Tuesday, June the 10th. I don't think I can make that. Brant Hills Community Center, same place. And then the Jays tournament in Halton Hills is on May 27th, so that's tomorrow. And I think it's supposed to be good weather. On May 1st, social workers, CYCs, psych staff, SLPs, BAs, and CDAs attended a PD session using an identity-affirming approach in school mental health. Presented by School Mental Health Ontario. School Mental Health Ontario is the gold standard. That is the source of all good things in Ontario in terms of resources and training for staff regarding students' mental health. Actually, more than that, to be honest. Training included a review of identity-affirming school mental health frames and ways that staff can be more responsive to the diverse needs of students. School system is the ultimate in a democratic cross-section. So obviously, the students and families that we serve run the gamut, and it's such an honor for us to be able to then challenge ourselves to make sure that we're meeting the needs as fully as possible. And then there's some update here in terms of some of the PD we're doing in terms of our coordinators and consultants. That OCASE symposium, again, all of our consultants went to that, and a lot of the focus there was on the ever-changing and the importance in terms of legalities within education itself, whether it's human rights, whether it's safe schools, whether it's the Education Act itself, and then there's a whole wide array of them once you get into special areas like with our speech and language pathologists and others do, where they are straddling a few different sets of regulatory bodies. And that's it. C2.
Thanks, John. Just a quick question. I have two questions. One is, I think just a general question, maybe, John, you can answer. Are we seeing Aaron next meeting for budget? Yes. We are. Thank you, Margaret. Okay. Thank you. So that was my one question, and Aaron will probably be able to answer a little bit of this, John, but at first glance, did you see anything when it came to changes to spec ed funding? No, so everything there has stayed the same. Any increases in spec ed funding?
I think there might be little percent ones in terms of sort of a cost of living almost type of thing, but no,
right.
Nothing cut, nothing brought down.
Okay.
In fact, there might be a couple of areas, not necessarily in spec ed, but there seems to be a little more wiggle room in terms of making use of those.
Okay.
So we got it in writing, so they can't take it back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. And then the other part, I'm just kind of saying, you won't have it in front of you, John, but maybe just for next meeting, is I know that at the board table, we did have a review of some of the information, some of the feedback that came on budget, on some of the budget survey and, some of those informations. And just if we could bring maybe some of those to the next meeting as it pertains specifically to spec ed.
That's a great idea.
It's always helpful just to hear what that feedback is. So
yeah, and,
I don't expect you to have it right now. So that's why I was
but
putting
just
it forward.
Just to piggyback on that, the responses to that survey, as you're aware, were really, really good. Like much more than last year, the year before. That's awesome. And the responses in the sense of the tenor of them, very positive, very, very mature. Because sometimes you do get where it's just like, whatever. But this was thoughtful and constructive. So we're excited about that too. Right.
Sean. Yeah, so I would just say maybe we can just make a note to bring back even just some of those, Lisa's team can maybe provide, Lisa Collingmore's team can provide some of that. I didn't have any other questions. Thank you, John. So we'll just get some of those revised dates. I know you've already mentioned some of those, but just some revised dates. I also did have a question. When is the life skills prom? Is that coming up?
When is it?
Yeah.
So I looked at the date. It is coming.
Yes.
It's going on.
Okay. It's June something, but. Okay, it's okay. It's not, yeah. Yeah, perfect, okay. Is what?
Is the DHH being rescheduled? The picnic? It's not.
Wasn't that next week? When was the picnic?
Canceled due to
Weather. Oh, has that been rescheduled? Denise, do you know?
It had been scheduled for Wednesday and it was pouring buckets, and then Friday the fields were going to be so saturated. And then we get into the EQAO exams culminating, like it just, because we span from grade 1 to grade 12, it's really difficult. What we are committed to next year is finding a venue that will support us regardless of the weather, so that we know that it can move forward. It's the first time in 37 years, I think, that we've actually had to cancel it. It was heartbreaking. It was a really difficult decision, but we're committed to making sure it doesn't happen again and we're able to run next year.
Amazing. Thanks, Denise. Jen, you have that?
I have the date for you. So the Life Skills Prom will be on June the 11th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and it is Notre Dame that's hosting it this year.
6 to 9?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Can I say something about the DHH?
Yes, of course.
And I'm really proud when I speak about that across. I work within 6 boards, and Toronto is included. And I'm really proud that we can say that. So please don't let it fall off the wayside because of one year of bad weather. Yeah, and even last year's venue was great. I thought where Rhonda's retirement thing was, yeah, that was good. So.
Don't worry, this is a one-off. It's not going to happen again. We're really committed to making sure that we can run rain or shine next year.
Thanks, Denise. And I would encourage, again, I know that we are always so swamped in our everyday life. And, you know, I know for the Best Buddies dance as an example, it's difficult. It's during the day, so it's a little harder to get to. But if you ever have the opportunity to attend any of these events, and if you can go to the Life Skills Prom, I promise you it will be like the best use of your time. I've had the privilege of attending a few different times, and I can tell you that just it is absolutely magical. The kids that attend, the staff that is there volunteering. I mean, poor Norm, I thought one year he wasn't going to be able to get through his speech. He was so emotional about it. And you often see the parents dropping the kids off and picking them up. And the parents are so excited because their student is attending prom with their friends, and it's, you know, maybe a milestone they didn't think that they were going maybe to ever witness. So this one's in the, you know, this one is in the evening. If you have a chance to go, it is just so nice. And the decorations are wonderful and the kids are having such a great time. And I would, you know, just encourage you to try to carve out a half an hour to go if you can make it work. So we'll send that out. Margaret, that would be great. And then of course, any of these other events that are going on, it's a really great glimpse. We hear about them here, but when you actually go to some of these events and you witness them in person, they just feel completely different even than when they're presented here. So just an encouragement as members of SEAC, if you ever get a chance, and I know life is busy, but it would be great to try to do that. So thank you, John, again for that report.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I do have a question though for
sure.
Director Klein, EK Superintendent report there. Just you mentioned the Spec Ed department and mental health now is going to be under one umbrella. Is that?
Well, it's more of a mental health was already something that was addressed, or there was a responsibility there within it. But I think it was a matter of then it seemed to be an afterthought. And as you know, words are important. And symbols are important in terms of inclusion, in terms of saying how something is valued to us. So I believe that was the thought behind it. So Denise and Jen and Oliver,
I think it also represents that there's a significant number of our students that we support around mental health initiatives that may or may not have IEPs, right? And sometimes it felt like they were missing from like John said, the branding or how the department was discussed. So this is really looking at reflecting all the work that the department does, and it not being it's the Spec Ed department, and yeah, we also do mental health. It's really that both focuses are equally important and they're intertwined. We would never want to separate them. The work of one supports the work of another, but we really wanted to sort of let the community know that how important the mental health services and supports are.
That was my question, just more, was it like, and almost like tacking it on at the end? So that's why I just wanted some clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much again. Thanks for the questions too, everybody. Moving on to item number 10 is SEAC discussion item or questions. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to discuss this evening that we did not have on our agenda previously? No? Okay. And please always note that this is, we do the best we can to sometimes put together the agendas. Some of them are, we have the same thing that comes up year over year. But there's always an opportunity. Again, I will, consistently remind you, if there's a presentation you would like to see from staff, if there's something you'd like to have more information about, if there's an initiative that, we haven't heard about you'd like to see here, please just let us know. If there's anything you want to have added to the agenda for a discussion item, please just send it in to us and we can absolutely have that added on there. So I want people to know we have the openness to do that. Meeting summary and next steps. We're just going to send out a couple of dates so people have them in their calendars. And our next meeting is June 16th. Holy moly. So Monday, June the 16th will be our last SEAC meeting of this school year, where it sounds like we will be having some budget conversations. So Erin will come in and hopefully be able to give us a little bit of an overview of what this year's budget and funding is looking like, and we can have any of those questions on that. Sometimes we do a bit of a recap. I don't know if we're, I don't want to make work for anybody, but hopefully we're having a little bit of, okay, good. Okay, thanks. Okay. So, we'll have a great wrap up for the year. So that's perfect. And that's it. So that moves us to item number 13, which is resolution for absentees. Sorry, Marianne, did I miss you? Jump in.
No, I forgot something. We have the Halton Walk for Down syndrome on June the 7th. So I don't know, shall I send an email or?
Yeah, send it to Margaret and she can send it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always a great walk. You always have a ton of people that participate. I know like out in Vancouverton comes out and you get a lot of people that come out to the event. So it's always a great event.
Yeah.
So yes, please share. We'd love to.
I'll send you details.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, so just moving on to item number 13, which is our resolution for absentees. So we did receive 3 regrets this evening from Rick, Jessica, and Amanda. So if I could just have a motion to recognize our absentees. Thank you, Trish. Oh, Ron, yeah, Ron, okay, Rhonda, yeah, thank you. And now item number 14, which is our adjournment and closing prayer. So I do need a motion to adjourn. Now nobody wants to do it. Okay, Tracy moves to adjourn, and you're going to second that, Trish? Perfect. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for such a great meeting. We'll move to our closing prayer now. So if you will join me in the sign of our faith, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Blessed are you, O God of all creation. Each day you spread before us the rich and wonderful diversity of the human family created in the divine splendor of your love. Fashioned in your image, you call us to love one another with the same tender care with which you brought us to creation. Each one of us is but one small part of the glory that is you. As we serve the students and families of the Halton Catholic District School Board on the Special Education Advisory Committee, fill us with your grace, guide us with your wisdom, and give us the strength and courage to do your work so that it may always be said of our every act, God saw that it was good. Okay. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Have a great night. We'll see you in June.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Abiola, for joining.